Hello and welcome. Today we're working on a make or buy decision in managerial accounting. We're going to work a problem and show maybe different variations of it to make sure you understand how this works. Hey, if you're new, my name is Jeff from Finally Learn, where I teach financial skills and accounting using Excel. So make or buy is in the relevant cost chapter, and there's things like special order, make or buy, maybe dropping a product line. Those are typical things that we do in this chapter. So here's the setup, and let me talk about maybe variations. You might see variations of this type of problem. They'll say something like, well, this company's making this part or this component, and they're making 4,000 of them or whatever. And then they might give you, here's our materials and labor and variable MOH. Let's say that total is $12. The variable cost per unit is $12. Now, fixed cost per unit, they might give you the total fixed cost or the fixed cost per unit. Here, the total cost would be $11 times the 4,000. So that's like 44,000. 44,000. So they might say, hey, these add up to be 12 and this is 40. So they might give you more numbers, but essentially you have to combine it down to what's our variable cost per unit and what's our total fixed cost, what's our fixed cost per unit, so on. Now, we are buying 4,000. Now, generally we don't work with the totals, we work with the per unit. And a supplier, they reached out to a supplier, and the supplier could sell them those 4,000 units at $17. Okay, so here is the typical way that people kind of think about this, and let's kind of make the wrong, go down the wrong path here. A lot of times what would happen is they would say, okay, look, if I don't make it, then I get rid of all these costs. Right now the cost to make is going to be 12 plus 11, okay? So it costs us $23 to make, and the cost to buy is $17. So of course we would just buy, right? Well, it's a little more in depth than that, because here's what happens. We have to assume, unless we're told otherwise, that we can't get rid of any of the fixed costs. So we would have to say, by the way, the avoidable fixed cost is 0%. This is our normal assumption. We assume we can't get rid of fixed costs this year. It's fixed, right? So therefore, it's going to cost 17, plus it's still going to cost fixed costs. We can't hope that fixed cost goes away, and our cost to buy would be 28. We would still have the fixed cost of having the factory or having that rental space or whatever we have, and so it costs us $23 to make, but it costs us $17 to buy, plus we still have the fixed costs. We're not getting rid of any of the fixed costs. So our decision then is still to make. All right, so what happens is, if we don't say, then some people assume, well, we'll just get rid of everything. It's just, if you have a fixed cost like a car payment, you decide you don't want that car anymore, you can't just say, well, I don't want the car anymore, there's no car payment. Well, that's not true. There still will be a car payment, and until you sell the car and pay off that loan. All right, so avoidable fixed costs. So we have to be, if we are not told otherwise, we assume that we still have the fixed cost. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to be $23 each time to make. Let's say we get rid of 30% of our fixed cost. So 30% of our fixed costs are avoidable. Then that means it costs 17 plus 11 times 1 minus the 30%. We still have 70% of the fixed cost. So what would it cost us to buy? Well, it's going to cost us $24.70. So we still would make, it's cheaper to make. I'm going to highlight these two, because we'd rather make when it's 23 rather than spending 28 and 24.7. Now, when you first start working the problem, you kind of think, well, what if we got rid of 100% of our costs, right? Well, we don't know this unless we're explicitly told otherwise. And so what would happen is it's still going to be 12 plus 11. But what's the cost to buy now? Well, the cost to buy is only going to be 17. So it flips at that point, and we would rather buy. So that's going to be cheaper. So when you first look at the problem, you assume, well, all the costs just go away. Well, they don't. We have to assume that we still have fixed costs. So let's do one in between. Let's do 80%. Well, what's the cost to make? Well, the cost to make is still 12 plus 11 for 23. What's the cost to buy? Well, it's going to be the 17 plus only 20% left of our fixed cost times 0.2, and so it's going to be cheaper to buy. All right, so we would highlight we would do whatever's the cheapest, right? So here's what happens. At some point in between 30 and 80 is the point of indifference. And so what we need is, we need this price to go down to 23, so we need to have a $5. So let's do this. We need to have it go down $5 divided by 11. So that about 45% is our indifference point. So in between the 30 and the 80, if we can get a $5 savings, then this would be 23 and 23, and we would be kind of indifferent. Any greater fixed cost that's avoidable, like 50% or 60%, we would buy, it would be cheaper. Anything less than 45%, it would be cheaper to make. So this is how you do a make or buy. And we did 4 different problems on this with this same number. Always the setup is we cannot assume fixed cost goes away just because we quit making it. We have to be told some percentage, otherwise we assume 0%. When you first start working a problem like this, you kind of think it's all going to be 100%, but that's not right. That's a decision error. And so that's what these problems are trying to get you to see. Hey, you still have fixed cost unless you're told otherwise. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.